All right. Good afternoon to everyone of you itself. 我是汉文教练，很高兴今天又来跟你们一起来阅读，尤其在现在很多时候是在下班时间嘛，让我在这里更好的等下去让大家一起陪伴大家来一起丰富自己的头脑，让自己的人生有一点点乐趣吧。Okay, I'm happy to be sharing with you on this chapter itself. This is the book Retire Young, Retire Rich. So this I'm going to carry on from where I left off. This is the third part. I'm reading on chapter 2 now. The title of this book itself is called Retire as Young as You Can. As nearly 10 years of hard work and struggle, I had become financially free at the age of 47. That year in 1994, a friend called and said, be sure you take at least a year off after the business is sold. A year off? I said, I'm going to retire and take the rest of my life off. No, you won't, say my friend Ni Hao. Ni Hao has been a member of the team that started and built several major businesses, two of them being MTV and CMT, country music television back in the early 1980s. After having built and sold some of those businesses, he retired at the age of 41. We have become friends. He retired at we become friends and he was now passing on his lesson from retirement to me. In less than 3 months, you'll be bored and you start another company, he said. The hardest thing for you to do is to do nothing. That's why I recommend you to set a goal to wait at least a year before even thinking about starting another business. I laughed and tried to reassure him that I was retired for good. I have no plans of starting another business, I said. I'm retired. I'm not going back to work. Next time you'll see me, you won't recognize me. I won't have a suit on, nor will I have short hair. I'm going to look like a beach bum. Ni Hao heard my words, yet he was insistent. He wanted me to hear and understand what he was saying. After a very long conversation, he was beginning to get through to me. Finally, I heard him when he said, very few people have the opportunity you have. Not many people are financially able to stop working and do nothing. Not many people can truly retire in midlife during your prime earning years. Most people can't afford to stop working, even if they want. Even if they hate their job, they can't stop working. So don't take this gift lightly. It is a gift few people will ever be presented with, so take it. Take a year to do nothing. Ni Hao went on to explain that most entrepreneurs sell their business and start another business right away. He said, I used to build a business, sell it, and start immediately building another one. I built and sold 3 businesses by the time I was 35. I had a lot of money, but I could not stop working. I did not know what stopping meant. If I was not working, I felt useless and felt I was wasting time. So I would work harder. My hard work was robbing me of life and time with my family. Finally, I realized what I was doing and decided to do something different. After I sold my last business and put the check for millions in the bank, I decided I would take a time off. Taking that year for my family and me was one of the best decisions I have ever made. That time alone with myself, having nothing to do, was priceless. Do you realize that we were in school studying since we were 5 years old? And once we left school, we have been working. Very few people have the luxury of at least 1 year to sit and just think and be with yourself. He told me that as soon as his affairs at home were tied up, he and his family moved to a remote island in Fiji and sat on the beach. He said, for months, I just sat on the beach, gazed at the crystal blue oceans and watched my kids enjoying a life we all dreamed of. Once they had enough of Fiji, he moved his family to Italy and sat there for months doing nothing. It was a full year before I became a sane human being again. He said, I had no idea how hard it would be to stop waking up and thinking I have something to do, a meeting to attend, or the plane to catch in order to make enough money to pay the bills. It took me a full year for me to slow down and let the adrenaline leave my body. It took a full years of relaxing to slow down enough so I can think straight and become whole again. I was 41 years old. For 36 years, I've been running to get somewhere, and now I was there. So what is the hardest thing that I had to do? Ni Hao was correct. The hardest thing about being retired was having nothing to do. After years of schools, classrooms, tests, meetings, updates, the deadlines, I'm truly conditioned to get up and rush off to do something. Just before retiring, I remember how I hated the pressure and the worry of work. I remember thinking, only 6 more months and I will be free. I can retire and do nothing. I can't wait until the business is sold and I can stop this madness. In September of 1994, the sales and transfer of assets out of the business were complete. I put some money in the bank, invested in a few more apartment house and warehouse, and was formally retired. I was 47 years old and my wife Kim was 37. We were financially free with the rest of our life yet to live and enjoy. And just as Niha warned, within weeks after selling the business, I was restless. I continued to wake up early only to realize that I have no plans for the day. I had no one to call and no one called me. I was alone in my house with nowhere to go. I was soon restless and irritable. I felt useless and unwanted. I felt like my life was being wasted and I was unproductive. I wanted desperately to work on something, but there was nothing for me to do. Niha was correct. For me, having nothing to do was the hardest thing to do. Kim had her business of investing and managing her real estate portfolio. She enjoyed it and went about it at her own pace. She would find me in the kitchen, bumping around trying to do nothing. Are you looking for something to do? She would ask. No, I replied. I was just looking for a way to do nothing. Well, let me know when you find nothing to do and we can do it together, Kim said with a grin. Why don't you call your friends and get together and do something? I did, I replied, but they are all too busy at work. They don't have any free time. After a few months of trying to do nothing, Tim and I decided to vacation in Fiji, where Niha went for part of his years off. I was excited about just going somewhere, even if it was just to do nothing. Within 3 weeks of deciding to go to Fiji, we arrived by seaplanes and were greeted by smelling Fijians with flower lilies and tropical drinks. As Kim and I walked down the long pier that jutted out over the crystal blue water, I thought I arrived on Fantasy Island. I was waiting to hear a short, chubby guy say, "Boss, deplane, deplane." This island was more beautiful than Niha had described. I could not believe its beauty. Being raised in Hawaii, I could not help but say to myself, this is the way Hawaii used to be, and this is how Hawaii should be. Yet, as fabulous as this secluded island was, it was too slow for me. I could not believe that paradise was making me crazy. I would get up, having a healthy breakfast of fruits, jog for a while, and then spend the day at the beach. After an hour, I was still crazy, as beautiful as the beaches of this island were. I'm ready to get back to the States and start a new business. I did not know why I had promised Niha that I would take at least a year off. 2 weeks were all that I could take of paradise. Kim could have stayed forever, but I was ready to get home to Arizona. Why I needed to get home, I could not know. But we left paradise and headed home. Sitting at home was not much better than sitting on the beach, but at least I had my car and familiar places to keep me distracted. A new neighbor came over to introduce himself one day. He too was retired, but he was about 20 years older than I was. He was 68 and had been a high-profile manager of a Fortune 500 company. Every day he would come over and talk about the news, weathers, and sports. He was a nice guy, but sitting around trying to do nothing with him was worse than the worst meeting I have ever been in. All he wanted to do was work in his backyard and play golf. To him, retirement was pure heaven. He did not miss the corporate world at all and just loved his free time doing nothing. I realized that I would wind up like him if I hang around him much longer. When he wanted me to join his man card group at the country club, I realized that I had to find something else to do in order to do nothing. Finally, I could take no more. One day I said to Kim, I'm moving to Brisbane. I need to go somewhere where I can be busy doing nothing. In a few days, I moved to the small ranch that Kim and I own. It is a beautiful yet secluded piece of land hidden in the valley, covered with tall oak trees, an intermediate stream with lots of deer and an occasional mountain lion nested high in the mountains on the Mexico/New Mexico/Arizona borders. I finally found my place to take my years off, a place where I could be busy doing nothing. After a few days of just sitting in the mountains in my cabin without television or radio reception, I began to calm down. I settled into my years off. My breathing slowed down, and so did my pace. Peace and tranquility become a part of everyday life, rather than pressure of meetings and deadlines. My year off had finally begun, and it was just as Niha said. a gift few people will ever be presented with. So take it. It had taken me nearly 6 months to slow down enough to begin my year off. Starting life all over. Sitting alone in my mountain cabin, I had the time to reflect on my life. I thought of all the stupid and impulsive things I had done in my youth. I thought about the choice I made and how each choice, even though not a brilliant choice, had been important in shaping who I eventually become in life. I had time to sit and remember my high school days and friends I grew up with, friends I rarely see today. I recall my friends from college and wonder how they were doing. This time alone gave me an opportunity to reflect on how much the friends of my youth impacted the man I had become. There were so many moments sitting in my cabin that I wish I could go back in time and be with my boyhood friends again. I wanted to just laugh and be young again. But now all I had were the precious memories. I wish I had taken more photos and written more letters and kept in touch more. But we had all become busy with life and had gone our separate ways. Sitting in the mountains in front of the roaring fire, playing back the memories of my youth was better than going to a movie theater. The time off gave me the time and solidity to replay in vivid details the memories of my past. It is interesting that even the bad times didn't seem that bad. I came to appreciate my life and the people in my life, the good and the bad. As messed up as my life was at times, I greatly appreciated my own unique life. In those quiet moments, I realized that we all have the potential to be good and bad. We all have the potential to be great, but greatness was not to be a part of my youth. I'm not a child genius, a music prodigy, an athletic star, nor was I in the in crowd or invited to many parties. I looked back upon my life, I realized my life was average. But sitting in the mountains made my average life seems very special to me. I had times to think about my families, old friends, guys I play sports with, old girlfriends, and old business partners. I thought about choices I had made and wonder what would have happened if I had made different choices. Choices such as what would have happened if I married my girlfriend from college, settled down, and had kids as she wanted to do. What would have happened to my life if I had not decided to become a pilot and fly in Vietnam? What would have happened if I avoided the war as most of my friends did? What would have happened if I had gone for my master degrees instead of starting my nylon and Velcro wallet business? What would have happened if I had not lost two businesses before finally having one succeeded? What would have happened if I had not Kim and had gotten married? What if Kim had not stuck it out with me when times were really bad? And most importantly, what did I learn and who did I become because of the success and failures my life had presented me? It is true that you cannot change your past, but you can change your opinion of your past. Up until this time in the mountains, my past was a blur. It was just a series of people and events that whizzed by as I rushed through each day of my life. The solitude in the mountains gave me the opportunity to stop my life and take a look at it. There are many things I have done in the past that I'm not proud of and would not do again. There are many mistakes I wish I had not made and lies I wish I had not told. There are many dear friends and loved ones that I hurt along the way. There are many people I love dearly, but I do not talk to anymore because we disagree on something silly. During this time off, I found how important those events were in my life. Sitting alone in the quiet of mountains, I reconnected with my past friends, families, and myself and thanked them for being a part of my life. Sitting alone in the mountains, I had the time to say thank you to my past and prepare for the future. Today, when I speak to people about taking a year off, I say the best thing about retiring early and taking that time off in midlife was that it gave me a chance to start life over again. 18 months after selling off my business and retiring, I finally drove out of the mountains of southern Arizona. As I left, I really did not know what I was going to do next. I just knew I wanted to do things differently. In my Apple Macintosh computer was a rough draft of Rich Dad Poor Dad, and in my briefcase was a rough sketch of my cash flow 101 games. The second half of my life had begun. This time it was my life. It was no longer a life driven by the wish and dreams of my parents, teachers, friends, or the dreams of a child. I was now wiser, older, smarter, less reckless, and a bit more work trustworthy. The second half of my life has begun, and this time it was to my life on my terms. And that is the main reasons I recommend retiring as young as possible. It will give you a chance to start your life over. A suggestion. Regardless if you can retire early or not, I suggest taking at least an hour each month to reflect on your life. Taking the time to reflect on my life, I discovered that what I thought was important was not that important. What was important was where I was at, not where I was going. There is no one more important than the person in front of you at that moment. Take that moment to be with him or her. Time is precious. Don't waste it. Appreciate it. Sometimes stopping for a moment is harder than staying busy. For me, the best thing about retiring early was learning to appreciate life even if it was hectic, stressful, and filled with problems. I found that I did not know what to do if I have nothing to do. Today, I truly appreciate the hustle and bustle of life because I know what it is like to sit around doing nothing. So whatever state your life is at present, take a moment to appreciate it because tomorrow it will only be a memory. And that will be for chapter 2. It gave as I was reading this itself again, right? It gave me a touching moment as I was remembering all the good days that we have with our friends, our or maybe to my secondary school friends, Santakan, and the days I had with my money and you friends that we were doing volunteers both in Malaysia, Singapore, and Taiwan's, and people that we met during Pupu. Every opportunity that we have itself, right, it was very amazing. It's the friendships, and I start to feel that sometimes money is important, but the social network, the social satisfactions of having friendships, people you love, was as important itself. The moments I had with my dad, when we went for just a ride out, just a drive, just totally a drive, a week plus 2 weeks itself, that we have no destination in mind. So basically, we just drive to wherever he showed me something that, hey, you see this YouTube, then you say this destination, and we will just ride out. And these were very, very beautiful memories that I remember. I always feel that it will be memories to live forever. So today, do we have this kind of memories? Are we going to stop? Are we going to pause? Are we going to just take a break? And I truly hope that all my friends will be able to retire at least early, so retire young, and not to work until the age of 85, or even more, because it's again money is just a tools. Let's not be the tools for the tools. And I hope that as we read on more, we'll be able to get even more of the tools, because the right mindset, this is still in section 1, the right mindset will lead us to where we will want to be. All right. And that will be my sharing of this chapter 2. So I will continue to read whenever I can, and let's complete this book together. All right. Thank you so much. My name is 我是汉文教练. I'm 汉文教练. Happy to be able to share this good book with all of my friends.